Welcome to anyone that is here live and to anyone that is watching the recording when we send it out afterwards. It's great to have you here. And this is the first of my new live series called Liminal Writing, which is all about how we've used our writing to help us through those transitional times in our lives that we all go through on a personal level. And also, we're going through a massive one on a societal level at the moment. But we'll try and keep it personal today. And I am delighted to welcome Sherry Taveras, who I first met last year when she was part of Terry Lee's Creative Retreat program. And then this year, she joined my Year of Mindful Writing program. So I get to hang out with her loads.
Yes.
And I've been following her journey of many, many transitions over the last couple of years of her life, which include moving to a new country, her children leaving home, and launching her first novel, and then crowdfunding to go on her very first artist residency. So, Sherry, talk us through your transitions and how your writing has helped you.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, this has already been fun. Me and Amanda got to chit chat a little bit, doing tech check before we jump on here, and I just love talking with you, Amanda. Um,
Likewise.
it's so much you saying all that back to me. You know, that wow, these last few years have been filled with major transitions. And I mean, I feel like I am finally kind of coming through. You know how people say, yeah, you feel like you're in this space of where you're not where you used to be, but you're not where you want to be. You're in
Hmm.
that middle space and you're just kind of floundering around and, trying to figure it all out. And I feel like I'm finally coming through to the other side. And it has been an incredible journey. And, it's interesting because I read a lot, even things that you shared, Amanda, about what you've experienced in your life as a woman, as a wife, as a writer, a lot of just transitions, and you don't think you're going to make it through.
No,
Like,
sometimes it does feel like that.
yeah, no, it for me it felt like that. I thought I was like, okay, the gods in heaven, whoever, but I just, I think my writing saved me,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, I would say that this all kind of started. I think that the transitions for me, and I think for a lot of people, started in 2020
Yeah,
during
definitely.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because that's when I started writing Harriet Honeybee. That's when she came to me. And I was really going through what I call an existential crisis. I remember sitting on my bed and I felt like I was sort of forced into this moment of really finally dealing with all of the demons and all the things that were unsaid, you know, um, from my childhood, as a wife, as a mother, all the unspoken things that just laid heavy that I think as women, we just stuff and stuff and stuff because
Mhm.
we're busy taking care of everybody else. And it kind of forced me. I don't know where you create, but I sit in my bed. Like right now, I'm on my bed. Like this is my I've always sat on my bed when I write, when I create. I don't know why. It's always been that way. But I remember when I sat on the bed that day and I just felt like this moment of I'm ready to get honest. I'm ready to to stop um to not to not talk about these things. And all of a sudden Harriet showed up and I started writing through her all of the things. And I feel
Mm.
like my characters in that book all kind of have my voice. And, when you talk about the liminal space, I think it's not even just it could be, a moment in a day, it could be years. And I feel like I have been in that liminal space for 6 years,
Yeah.
if
I
that
think
makes
maybe our
sense.
world has been. I think that the lockdowns were so unprecedented and so shocking for everyone to suddenly be trapped in their homes in that way.
Mhm.
And everything became really polarized. And there was all these like really strong feelings on both sides of the thing. People that didn't think needed to do it, people that thought we should be doing it more. And it felt like our world became something completely different overnight. And
Yeah.
it feels like we've never really recovered from that, I think. And that once the lockdowns lifted and we went back to normal life, that
Mm.
it never felt normal again. And it's just been steadily getting more and more further away from what it was before.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think that the further away to the what normal was,
Mm,
I think we've all had to create what our normal is.
yeah.
Moving to another country was something that my husband wanted to create for us as a family. He was pretty much done, with the life we were living in the States. It was just sort of this grind, hustle, nonstop, earn the money to, support this lifestyle that had become
Mm,
very expensive and, you know, physically draining, emotionally draining, financially draining. Um, and it terrified me when he made that decision, even though I supported it. I almost felt like because I had stayed home, Amanda, to raise my kids. I had made a
mhm,
decision. We had made a decision years ago that I would stay home, raise the kids, and that was 18 years of that. So I was mom 24/7. And so when he made the decision to, sell everything and move, to the Dominican Republic, it was terrifying for me because it felt like another choice that wasn't mine per se.
mm,
As, you know, I felt like, okay, here I am. I'm supporting another dream, someone else's dream. And, and like I said earlier, the writing is what saved me because I had to journal all of those uncertainties and fears and doubts and insecurities and who am I going to be in this space.
mm.
I'm still trying to figure who I am, you know, now that my kids are of an age where they don't need me so much, and now I'm sort of becoming this forced in empty nester because our kids weren't really interested in moving to the DR with us.
No, they've
So
got their own lives now.
exactly. And it's great that you raise kids that are independent but I remember them saying to me, "Mom, don't use us as an excuse not to go live your dreams." It's like, yeah, well, this wasn't really my dream. This was my husband's dream, but it did put me in a space where it helped force me into like identifying who I am in this space, in this liminal space, in this time.
Yeah.
Like, who am I? Yeah, and
I
the
think
writing really got
when you remove yourself from everything that you've ever known, it does open up all of these channels in your mind and in your heart that allow your writing to go to places that you maybe never imagined,
mm,
and also to teach you things about yourself, either through journaling or through the fictional characters you create. I mean,
right.
in 2013, my husband and I sold everything that we owned, which wasn't very much anyway, because we'd always been nomadic and we'd had a life of 3 years where we thought we should grow up, and we accumulated all this furniture and stuff. And we were sitting in a rented house, and I was looking around at it all, and I thought, I just don't want it. I don't want all this stuff. And my
Mm,
husband came in from work, And I said to him, "Do you want any of this stuff that we've got?" And he just stopped and he looked and he went, "What do you mean?" And I went, "Well, I've just been looking around at it." I said, "And it's making me feel really heavy." I said, "I
Mm.
don't think I want it anymore." I said, "I just don't want all this stuff and this settling down thing we appear to be doing." And he just went, "Yeah, you're right. I don't either." And so we just got rid of it all. We put it all on eBay and we've set off on our completely nomadic of no fixed abode life
Wow.
in 2013. And I was terrified the day that we left the house that we'd been renting. And we just had like a bag of clothes and a laptop and a couple of books each. And
Wow.
yeah, we packed it into our car, which we'd just sold to my cousin, and we were going to go and take it and deliver it. And then we've never had a home as people would envisage it since. But in that time, my writing has got me through it, but also been transformed. And everything, my
Mm.
whole life has been transformed, not just my writing. But it was in writing about what I was experiencing that was helping me to understand what it was meaning to me.
Right. Well, I think you said it. It's you don't realize it when you're going through it. And when you're writing about an emotion or a feeling or a fear, you're really not understanding sort of what that process is bringing you to, you know. And I think my writing has changed over the years as I've changed and as I've grown. Um, I used to write from I felt like a very dark place.
Mm.
But that being said, it resonated with a lot of women who were going through that same sort of dark night of the soul. That's what
Hmm.
Lauren Shadows, my friend, says. She said, "Settle down, weight it down. Society says you need everything to be something, but you really need nothing to become everything." She's so poetic. I love it. But there was point she said that is the process of growth. It starts in darkness and uncomfortability, and then you push up into the sunshine to become what you are meant to be. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But that's how I felt, Amanda, was like I almost felt it was such a darkness and such a heaviness, my writing. Like who wants to hear this? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I would put it out on my blog or, on my private social media where I have a private Facebook group of women. But when I would share those darkest moments writing in those liminal spaces, it resonated so much with other women, with
Mm.
other people that were going through the same thing and through these life changes. And, I think I recognize as a writer that is the point of it is to connect
Yeah.
even in when we're writing in those spaces that we haven't figured it out yet. We're figuring it out through the writing or trying to understand it through the writing, like how you
Yeah.
did through the journaling and the change and becoming a nomad, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And connection was why I always wanted to write. Like from when I was young, I wanted to write short stories and novels because the short stories and novels I read when I was growing up are what helped me to get through really difficult times. I had a very rough childhood and
Mm,
um, made me believe that everything could be all right and that no matter how bad things got, that there was always better coming. And that's why I wanted to write short stories and novels so that my writing could connect with others in that way. And
right.
it did, like when I got reviews that people posted online and people contacted me about them, it did do that. But it's since I started writing on Substack that I've really connected with people and
Mm,
writing about my personal experiences rather than making up stories. And I think
yes.
maybe that's indicative of the way our world is now, that we all want to feel like we're in the same boat together and we can help each other through.
Absolutely. And that's it. You said it. We are in the same boat. We are all in the same boat, but we're not in the same seat, of our lives. I could be experiencing sort of that breakthrough, which I
Yeah.
feel that's where I am right now. Someone else may just have started to, you know, they can't row anymore because they're just exhausted from their lives,
Mm.
and someone else could be in a seat that they feel like they've gathered their strength and then they can help a little bit more, through whatever it is in that space that they're in. So there's so much that we as humans, we connect with each other. We're in the same boat, but we're not in the same seat. We're not in the same season. And so I feel like for me, I feel like I don't know if I'm the captain of the ship.
I'm definitely not. Maybe a cabin boy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I probably would never wanna take that role of the captain of
No.
the ship. It's like, I don't want that responsibility, but I feel like I've gotten sort of familiar with, "Oh, so this is really what it means to be a part of this humanness," and that you're gonna have those moments of just where, the storms come and you don't know if you're gonna make it through. you know, you've been in the water too long, and are we ever going to see land? Is it ever going to happen? And when you finally do see it, and I feel like I just came from that land, going to that writer's residency, that artist residency, what opened up for me because I went through, you know, the storms and all of that, and I was able to write through it. It's like there's this moment that opens up for you that you just never would have imagined or expected had you not,
Yeah.
you know. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Your lovely wise friend has said you're in the crow's nest because you're in the position to see the horizon.
I
Yeah. Bob
love
says
that.
he's the stowaway.
Ah, I love
The stowaways are the
that.
rebels.
The rebels. Well, we hopefully have no mutinies on there. We don't. So the mutinies are like, yeah, we're not liking how this is going. We need to do something different. But yeah,
Although sometimes I think we do need mutinies,
yes, I
feeling like we
agree.
might do now.
We might need to now. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but
No.
uh, mutiny, I think, is in need right now. But
Yeah. But I really like calm one,
yes,
a really loving one, because
yes,
that's how you win is with love.
yes, yes, absolutely.
But I was thinking about what you said about how the journaling, you were just like finding your way through and just writing down everything that you were feeling as it was happening. And I
Mm,
used to do the same. And then I would notice that the things that I was feeling, that I was processing, were seeping into the fictional stories that I was writing, and
mm.
um, both in the short stories and in the novels. And do you think that that happened with Harriet Honeybee?
Oh, 100%. I think I could only tell my story was through her and the characters because it was such tenderness for me. Um, I had gone through therapy, which I vouch for. Um,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know, yeah, I tried so many things to just move through those emotions. And I didn't realize that storytelling would be the way that I would process and heal through it. I never imagined that kind of like what you were sharing as a child, it helped you to move through, a difficult life.
Mm,
And even though you probably weren't even aware of it, being so young,
mm,
that it was helping you process and helping you move through. And as an adult, I didn't know that this little 13-year-old girl, Harriet Honeybee, and her grandma Zuzu, who was sort of, it's like, I don't know if you've heard how characters can be different parts of you.
mm,
There's the nurturer, then you have the antagonist. Like, I am all of those. They're pieces of me. Um, and through telling it, it just felt honest.
mhm,
It felt connected to my heart. Like, I can read Harriet, and there are points where I'll cry. And because I'll remember what that feeling was and why she was feeling that emotion. And, the deep desire she had for family and history, and, finding her voice, and saying the things that she really wanted to say, that her best friend Ruthie Thigpen can just say it and not care, you
mm.
know, and that's me. That is me, the one that was so incredibly painfully shy, but I always had a best friend that would just be fearless and, say all the things that I was thinking, but I didn't
Yeah.
have the courage to say, you
It makes
know?
you go, "Oh," when they say them.
Yes, like, "Oh my, did you just say that?" But,
Yeah,
then you're at the same time, you're like, "Yes,"
yeah.
and, and I love it's great when I don't know if you feel this about what eat something and you go, "I would read that."
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I don't feel like, for me, it's like, yes, it's based in fantasy and magic. You're gonna experience all these because that's just me. I love the magical, I loved
Well,
anything
I
that.
think our world is magic, and we've just been made to forget.
Oh, I love that. Yes. 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 I 100% agree with that. I love that you said that. Just got goosebumps. But and yes, and so I borrowed that magic and put it through as story. And I hope that people that read it, feel, connected in some way to maybe one of the characters or a few of the characters, and just kind of feel their story is in there, and that there's healing for them in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
Yeah. When I was learning to write fiction and I went out to my first creative writing classes, the teacher that I had said that on the whole, every fiction writer's first novel is really autobiographical, even though they may not think it is. And I was writing my first novel, which was a story about a woman whose husband had gone missing and
Oh.
how her life was just suddenly not what she thought it was going to be. Like this whole future and life that they had just gone. And I was a very defensive person back then, with my heart tucked away with barbed wire behind it. And he went round the class and asked us what we were writing and if we could see any parallels with our life. And so I just used sarcasm as my defense a lot back then. And I said, well, mine's about a woman whose husband goes missing. And no, it's not based on my life because my husband was at home when I left this morning and I'm assuming he's going to be there when I get back. And then when I wrote the novel and it was published and people started reviewing it, and there were all these themes that they were seeing in it that I hadn't consciously known that I was writing. And when I sat and read through the reviews and saw what people were seeing, it really made me sit and reflect on
Mm.
what I'd been writing and why. And I learned so much about myself and the things that I needed to face and deal with through other people reviewing my book.
Really? Like what? Pray tell. Like,
Well, my fear of abandonment,
mm.
And because my biological father left my mother before I was born, and they were only 18 and they'd been made to get married because she was pregnant. And
Mm.
he left before I was born. And then I never knew him my whole life. He never bothered to be in touch. And that was woven through this abandonment thing all the way through the book. But I hadn't known that at all when I was writing it. And
Wow.
so I think that our fiction, as well as being a way for us to connect with other people through our characters and the stories that we tell, is also a way for us to connect to the things deep inside us that we need to work with and heal.
That's
And
so true.
we don't necessarily know it when we start writing it, but that's the job it does.
Well, I think too, it is when you interact with your readers. I mean, we get that. We get to do that on Substack.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
when we do our essays, like you get that immediate feedback. You know, you get that immediate response and, kind of, that interaction. And I've learned so much from the readers here. They're just so honest and vulnerable,
Mm,
um, that it really makes me, like you said, it reflects back to me. It's
mm,
a reflection back to me. And, it's so funny when you say that you were sarcastic. I'm like, Amanda sarcastic? Now I can see the British humor because I love a British humor.
mm,
I'm like, I love a British humor. The uh kind of black comedy, just
mm.
very, we were talking earlier offline about the chippy on the shoulder, very chippy.
Yeah.
I
Very chippy.
Yeah. And I'm like, Amanda's sarcastic. Actually, I could kind of probably see that because it was probably wrapped in
There's a
humor.
glimmer still.
Just a glimmer. Keep the glimmer, honey.
Yeah.
I like the glimmer. But it's like you said that it is a reflection back to you when you were getting the reviews. It's like it's like a mirror back to your soul and those
Yeah.
things. And sometimes it's kind of humbling.
It was really
Yeah.
humbling. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I contacted my teacher that had said that it was autobiographical and that the themes would definitely be related to your life, even if the storyline wasn't. And I contacted him and I said, yeah, you were right. My husband hasn't gone missing, but I was definitely writing about my life.
You got it. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah. But I feel like since I started on Substack, I've been writing from a liminal space the whole time because I'd been purely writing fiction for a really long time outside of my journalism work. And I was teaching just fiction. And then I started the Mindful Writer Substack 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago. And in that time since launching it, I've been transitioning into a teacher of mindful writing and a
Mm.
mindfulness mentor and meditation. And so I feel like my whole life has become a liminal space.
Well, what did can you say to, because when you think of liminal, like what would you say that means to be like, I know the definition of the word, but like in our right, like what do you
It's like you said earlier, I feel like I'm on the edge of things. So I'm on the edge of what I used to be, and
mm,
I'm on the edge of what I'm becoming. But I'm neither one at the moment.
do you see or do you have an idea of who you want to become? Do you get a glimpse of her through being on
Not really. No,
not
I just keep following what unfolds and seeing where
mm,
it leads.
that's the mindfulness.
Yeah, yeah, it
Would you
is.
Yeah.
That's taught me to just try as much as possible not to project into the future and don't dwell on the past.
Right. Well, it's interesting because when I went on the when I, you know, when I went to the writer's residency, the artist and writer's residency. I just got back on the 14th of April, and I was there for 2 weeks. Um, I don't know if a lot of people know who are on here know that I went to France, my first solo trip to an artist and writer's residency that I applied to last year that I didn't think I was going to get accepted to. And I did, surprise, surprise, and surprise to me for sure. And what I found, Amanda, there, and I'm wondering if this is kind of where I'm at now. When I was there, I was so present that I felt like I embodied who I always felt I was, but I never had the silence or enough, no distractions. Was such in this bubble of space where I could just be present with my, like what our workshop with you, the mindful writer, that I it was like I fully embodied myself.
Mhm.
There was no liminal at that point. I was in it. I was in the space. I felt so spacious. I felt so grounded. I felt so whole. I felt so present. I I wasn't distracted with social media. My phone was probably never with me unless I was just taking videos to, and so this my writing showed up in a way that was so pure and so honest and so, just it just I was able to write from that space. And even being there with other artists who speak your language, who get you as an artist or as a writer, it was such a beautiful space. I recommend residencies to anybody. But, but when I came back, and this is the point I'm getting to, Amanda, I have not it's like I've been trying to find that again. And it's interesting, someone said to me, "Sherry, it wasn't that France was magic. That was you you were able to just be so fully present. You just need to recreate that here."
Yeah. It's hard
And
though, isn't it, in your
it,
everyday life?
it's hard, Amanda. And I found myself crying. I found myself like, is that who I am? And why can't I connect to her? And even in my, like, I find myself trying to force that writing again
Mm.
because I'm trying to get to that feeling of that embodiment of her, but I am her. But
You are,
isn't it
yeah.
interesting how it's like you say, be mindful. You can do that here, but it's more intentional. You have to be
Yeah,
more intentional.
you have to really make it work in the
Yeah.
everyday life when you've got so many things that can distract you, keep you busy, so many people that wanna talk to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Or even what's reflected back to you. I feel like the artist there reflected back to me who who they saw. It's this, you know, and it allowed me to be that person. And it's funny, I told my husband when I came back, he said, "Why are you so fidgety and what's going on with you?" Because I was just like, "You just seem so anxious and fidgety." And I was like, "I don't know. I just, and he goes, you don't have to fold yourself back into, shrink yourself back into the space just because you're back here, you
Wow.
know? And I felt like that's what I had been doing. It's like, I have to fold myself back in.
Yeah, but you don't, and how wonderful that he recognized that and said it to you.
Yeah. He
But
can
I
say,
get
he art sometimes.
yeah, I get that. All the things that you share on notes, he sounds like he's pretty smart.
Yeah. He's got his moments for sure.
Yeah, we all do.
You don't want to blow him up too much. No, I'm just kidding. He's a good egg. He's a good egg. But yeah, and I think that if we could just all, and I speak for myself, be patient with ourselves
Hmm.
and not force. And there's so much trust that goes into being in that space. I think that's why writing for me is such a tool that I need it, you know. I need it to process and to especially during those times
Yeah.
where I don't feel and fully feel embodied, with the things that ground me. So,
And I think when we use writing in that way and we're storytellers, that the stories that we tell ourselves about our lives when we write through things are a really powerful tool for helping us through it. And
mhm,
even though I've been a working writer my whole life and always been telling stories, I didn't realize how powerful the personal stories we tell ourselves are, and
mm, yeah.
how we have the power to change them, until I had therapy. And she gave me writing exercises as my homework after the first session. And in doing them, there were three things that I had to do. And in doing them, I was like, oh my God, I can just tell myself a different story about who I am. I don't have to stick with the one about I, that other people told me I am. I can write my
Mm,
own story. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
and do you feel like that has really changed how you
Mm.
move through life and
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the things that I had to write about was that through my whole life, my mother told me that I was useless and a waste of space. And
wow.
even though everything about my life showed that that wasn't true, I still believed that it was. And it wasn't until I sat down and she told me I had to write a list of reasons why that wasn't true. And it took me ages to get started, but then once I did get started, and I was writing down all these reasons and all these different things that about me that show that I'm not that. And I was like, wow, I'm not useless. I'm not a waste of space. And
Wow.
then the list was just getting longer and longer. And I was like, yay.
This is it. But do you think that people, because, I know that, writing those things down, it's like you have to believe it because you believed what your mother was telling you.
Yeah.
For very, unfortunately, my father had to go through his own healing, but his thing to us was, the older you get, the stupider you get. It's like, or just this perfectionism,
Mm,
mentality. Everything had to be perfect out the gate. There was no room for mistakes. And there's so much value that we place on those identities that are put on us.
mm. Yeah.
You have to be perfect. You have to be, you know, um, whatever, fill in the blank. And did it take a long time for you to undo those beliefs? Because
Yeah.
I feel like it's like when you asked me earlier, yeah, writing Harriet Honeybee was very healing for me
Yeah.
because I wanted to infuse in her that she was more than what she believed she was.
Yeah.
So how was that? Did it take a long time for you to believe it, or was just the constant writing that finally changed the belief?
The seeing it all written down in
Mm,
was a really powerful moment, and that was the start of it when I realized that I wasn't. But yeah, a lifetime of conditioning to undo. It took a long time for me to fully believe it, and even now, still sometimes I'll make a stupid mistake. Quite often, actually, now because I'm in perimenopause and it seems to be playing havoc with my memory.
that's a whole other life.
Yeah. And so every now and then I'll do something stupid and it'll pipe up and say, you're useless, you're a waste of space. But now I know enough to just go, no, I'm not.
Exactly. Like she's words are magic. They can be blessing or curse when spoken to a child Breaking the chains that others place on us is powerful magic. Mm,
Indeed, it is. Yeah. It's one of the most magical things I've ever done is to
wow.
break free of all of that conditioning and come out the other end of it. And
Mm,
writing and mindfulness has been the tools that have done it, along with some therapy.
wow. I think, a lot of readers, I was an avid reader growing up,
Mm,
and it transported me from the difficult, the uncertainties, the fears that I felt as a child. And when I started writing, I remember my first journal was one of those little latch key
mine
one.
too.
Yeah, I always wanted one. It was this pink little latchkey one, and I don't remember how I was pretty young, and I remember writing in that, and I remember what one time my sister, who older sister, I had opened it up, and she knows I've talked to her about. We can laugh about it now, but she wrote on it, "This is stupid." You know? And from that moment on, I always have an insecurity about my writing. Can
Yeah,
you imagine that this one moment as a child, and that's just, going with to my friend what she said about breaking the chains that others place on us is powerful magic.
yeah,
That was magic. Like and that's how powerful words are, that in that moment, I believe that my writing, anything that I had to say was stupid. So
yeah. It's
even in
amazing.
my
One
yeah.
little incident.
And I will do that, Amanda. When I'm writing, sometimes oh, this is this is
Yeah,
stupid. I
we
won't
all
write.
do.
Yeah.
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 I do it less now. I have more belief in just that I write because I need to and I want to, and that's enough, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And it's
Mm,
a practice. You have to keep telling yourself that, and some days it's easier than others.
right. And that's just it's sort of how life is, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Some
Yeah,
easier than others. And, I can attest to that.
yeah. And your friend as well, Hamilton said, "We never truly see who we are becoming because the journey is quietly changing us in each moment." Yeah. And also the
Mhm.
path that's unfolding before us goes in directions that we might never imagine.
Never. I never would have imagined my life right. I never would have imagined, you
No, me
know.
neither. Me
It's
neither. But I've thought that many, many times through all the different stages of my life and different places that I found myself and things that I've been doing. I stop and I'm like, wow, I never would have imagined I would end up here doing this.
is there that you wanna write into, like, I love the whole it's magic, like, writing into that space, so
Mhm.
you're on, yeah, the liminal spaces, but can we write, put magic into the future? Not living in the future, but, writing that magic.
Yeah. Sprinkling stardust in our path as we walk it.
I like a sprinkle.
I like sprinkling, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Okay, well, I think that on that sprinkle of stardust, we might have done today's little liminal writing chat. Thank you so much for being my guest, Sherry. It's been really wonderful.
Oh, Amanda, this was such a joy. I love spending time with you, and thanks for everyone who showed up today.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed it.
oh, thank you guys. Thanks,
And
Amanda.
thank you, Hamilton, for all your lovely posts in the chat. They've really added great element to it. And I should be going and finding you after this and following you.
It's one of my favorite.
Okay, take care, Sherry. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, honey. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.